Let me read to you a passage from the 10th chapter of St. Matthew's Gospel, verses 1 to 7. It's the Gospel for Wednesday after the 14th Sunday in Ordinary Time. St. Matthew writes, Jesus called his 12 disciples to him and gave them authority to drive out evil spirits and to heal every disease and sickness. These are the names of the 12 apostles. First, Simon, who is called Peter, and his brother Andrew, James the son of Zebedee, and his brother John, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the tax collector, James the son of Alphaeus and Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. These 12 Jesus sent out with the following instructions: do not go among the Gentiles or enter any town of the Samaritans. Go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. As you go, preach this message: the kingdom of heaven is near. That's Matthew chapter 10, verses 1 to 7. It suggests thoughts about the divine choice. What do I mean? Well, there are several obvious things about the world, about the universe, and about man. All these things, for instance, manifest order. And even when there is disorder, it is not a matter of chaos, but of laws clashing in various forms of coincidence. The earthquake, which devastates a population, is a complex of laws in collision. Why there is any collision allowed by the orderer of all is a further question. But the world manifests order and structure. It also involves causation and change. The world is a cauldron of causes effecting change. Moreover, there is manifestly nothing inherently necessary about everything in the world. Things pass away and are essentially transient. Therefore, the world as a whole is transient in its very being. Another obvious feature of man and his world is its abundant variety, from the least up to the greatest, from the simplest to the most complex, from the least embodiment of beauty and goodness to the most enthralling. Philosophers have discerned in these aspects of the world indications of the existence and nature of God, and each of them is a cause of fascination. Take the last mentioned aspect of things, their dazzling variety. Consider the ordinary lily of the field. Christ himself had something to say about its beauty. He said that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed as one of them, and that it was God who clothed the lilies. Take a drive through any town or suburb. Domestic gardens are in abundance, and those gardens feature a great variety of flowers of various shapes, species, and degrees of beauty. Take the animal or insect kingdoms, or man himself. It is all God's work, and God chooses that the one be thus and the other be different. Why? We do not know, but it must somehow be for his glory. On one occasion, our Lord was passing by a man born blind, and he was asked, whose sin was the cause of this, his own or his parents'? After all, sin is punished by God. But the Scriptures did not teach that every affliction is therefore the result of the sin of the one afflicted, or say of his parents. Our Lord told his questioners that it was allowed that the works of God might be made manifest in him. John chapter 9, verse 3. Every single person will come up against the fact that he is more endowed by God his Creator than one person, and much less endowed than another. In one, or a few, or even very many respects. This variety of divine choice applies not only to God's work of creation, it applies to God's redemptive plan and actions. He chooses this or that person to be more favoured, let us say, chosen in a special way than others. Among the pagan populations of the land of the Chaldeans in Mesopotamia, he chose one individual and not others. We read that, and I quote, Terah took Abram his son and others of his relatives, and they went forth together from Ur of the Chaldeans to go into the land of Canaan. But when they came to Haran, they settled there, in modern Turkey. Genesis chapter 11, verse 31. There, God revealed his plan for Abram and his descendants. Chapter 12, verse 1 to 4. It was a choice of one man, and the rest remained in their situation. It is unnecessary to give further examples of this pattern of personal choice and of special endowment of the one and not of the other. In the fullness of time, God sent the angel Gabriel to the Virgin of Nazareth with special tidings. He respectfully addressed her as one who was full of grace. The Lord is with you. Luke chapter 1, verse 28. To no other mere creature in the Scriptures is there so high a praise. The humble Virgin was immensely endowed, far, far beyond the ordinary. She was the special object of divine choice in both gifts and mission, while remaining in her humble path withal. Our Lord gathered disciples to him and selected 12. The others remained outside that select band of companions who were to be with him and to be sent out by him to represent him in a special way. Even within this group, the 12, there were those of special choice. At various times, such as at the great event on the mountain, when Christ was transfigured in glory, 3 of the 12 were selected to accompany him, Peter, James and John. We are told by Mark that in the Garden of Gethsemane, he took these 3 apart from the others to be present at his agony. There was again the pattern of special choice. Why so? We may hazard our guesses, but we are not told. What is also clear, though, is that those not chosen in the way certain others are still the object of Christ's special love. St. John tells us that our Lord loved Lazarus, the brother of Martha and Mary. John chapter 11, verse 3, verse 11 and verse 36. But Lazarus was not chosen to be one of the 12, nor does he appear to have been among the 70 disciples sent out and assisting our Lord in his mission. Luke chapter 10, verse 1 and verse 17. He was, however, very much the object of Christ's special love. All of this brings us to our gospel that I read earlier from Matthew chapter 10, verse 1 to 7, in which our Lord calls the 12 and gives them special authority to act in his name, including Judas, who turned out so very badly. They were chosen in a way that others were not. We notice too that they were not to go among the Gentiles or enter any town of the Samaritans, go rather to the lost sheep of Israel. So at this point, the lost sheep of Israel were the chosen ones, others being left with what God had given them. Why? We do not know, but it was for God's glory. The point is that each of us is the object of God's special choice and love, but not in the same sense nor with the same endowments as others. As the great John the Baptist said, no one can receive anything except what is given him from heaven. John chapter 3, verse 27. Let us rejoice in what God has disposed for us and resolve to do his will in accordance with it. If we do this, he will be honoured and glorified, and that the more